an educator at MOHAI, and this is Idealab at Home. Join us as we tinker, experiment, and create our way through history with rotating topics and activities. Today, we are exploring bikes. Seattle has an extensive network of bike paths, including neighborhood greenways, protected bike lanes, and trails, and lots of people use them to get around every day. It's near the end of 2023, and this bike counter at the Fremont Bridge has counted over 882,000 bikes so far this year. The Fremont Bridge sits between the Westlake Cycle Track that drops you off at MOHAI and the Burke Gilman Trail, the first rail-to-trail conversion in Seattle and one of the first in the nation. The Burke Gilman is a nearly 20-mile mixed-use trail that follows the path of the Seattle, Lakeshore, and Eastern Railway line. The SLS&E was built in the 1880s to connect the city of Seattle to the town of Ballard, to lumber and coal further north and east, and eventually to a transcontinental line. In the 1960s and 70s, railroad companies across the U.S. were failing, and there was an increasing number of abandoned lines. As tracks became overgrown or even pulled out, people began using them as walking paths. And soon, local communities began to imagine alternative uses for these overgrown railways, including right here in Seattle. In 1968, a group of neighbors formed the Burke Gilman Trail Park Committee to convince the Burlington Northern, who owned the line, and the city of Seattle to convert the railway into a mixed-use public trail. At the time, this had only been done in a few other towns in the Midwest. They created flyers to spread awareness, talked to railside neighbors, gathered signatures for a petition, and organized a hike-in and rally in support of the project in 1971. Even though the project was approved by the city, you have to get special permission to abandon a railway and sell the land, because rail lines are regulated by federal law. The Burke Gilman Committee, with help from the Sierra Club, used the new NEPA and Environmental Impact Statement process to fight for the right for public agencies to have the first opportunity to purchase abandoned rail rights-of-way for use as public parkland. They eventually succeeded, and the original 12-mile stretch of the trail finally opened in 1978. Over the 1970s and 80s, this process became standardized and protected, creating more opportunities for rail-to-trail conversions. Today, Washington has 86 rail trails that span 1,172 miles. Seattle has additional urban trails that transformed other types of rights-of-way for recreational purposes, like the Chief Sealth Trail, which runs along the Seattle City Light transmission lines and was created using soils and concrete excavated when building the Link Light Rail along Martin Luther King Jr. Way. Bikes are a great way to get around. They're an amazing device made of several simple machines that increase the energy and force created by your body to help you go further and faster with less effort. The modern safety bicycle, invented in the 1890s, has a rear chain drive, a steerable front wheel, and two equally sized wheels. Let's take a look at some of the different parts of a bike and how they work. The frame evenly distributes the weight of the rider across the front and back wheels. The handlebars and fork allow you to turn the front wheel axle. These wheels have spokes which keep them lightweight and strong, and pneumatic tubes, which means they're filled with pressurized air, which provides cushioning and a smoother ride, plus texturized rubber on the outside for gripping the road. Brakes apply pressure, which create friction, which stop the wheel from spinning. The most common are rim brakes, like these, and disc brakes. This area right here is what propels the bike forward. Your feet push on pedals attached to levers, which rotate the front gears, and the chain transfers that turning force to the rear gears, which rotate the back wheel and push the bike forward. The chain also keeps the front and rear gear sets synchronized. Notice that both gear sets have gears of different sizes. Bigger gears turn more slowly with more force, and smaller gears turn faster with less force. The chain can be moved on the front and rear gear sets to change the gear ratio, or difference in size between the two sets of gears. This helps you maintain a comfortable pedaling speed. A bigger difference between gears or a higher gear ratio is great for going fast or downhill, while a smaller gear ratio helps you go uphill or accelerate from a standstill more easily. Explore balance, gravity, friction, and more by building whimsical rollers that move in interesting ways. We're going to be testing how our rollers move on a ramp. You can make yours out of cardboard, a piece of wood, or simply a table with one end propped up slightly higher than the other. Ours is made out of a piece of foam board with a shoebox underneath. The most important thing is that your ramp is steep enough that the rollers move down on their own, but slowly enough that you can still observe their movements. It's even better if you can have it wide enough so that you can put two rollers side by side and observe them at the same time. To build your rollers, you're going to need to gather some supplies for inspiration, but first establish some ground rules with your grown-ups about what kinds of materials you're allowed to collect. You're going to want to look for things that could be circular wheels of similar or different sizes. You can also alter things like your lids to make non-round wheels or cut them out of cardboard or foam, which means you're probably going to want some scissors as well. You can also look for things that look like they might roll. You'll definitely want to find some tubes or canisters, and you're going to need some connectors as well. So that might be things like tape or pencils, chopsticks, dowels, and then you're going to want to find a few little doodads to attach to your rollers, things that might move along with your rollers in fun ways, or things that you can attach as weights. Play around with different combinations of materials and construction as you build your rollers. Explore wheels of different shapes and sizes. You can also add textures to the surface of your rollers and play around with things like wheel alignment. You can also add things to the inside or to the outside of your rollers to explore things like balance. Once you've built a few rollers, it's time to test them out. Make some observations as they move down the ramp. What do you notice about how they roll? Which rollers are the fastest, the slowest, or the wobbliest? What can you change or alter to make those effects even bigger? And what do your observations inspire you to try next? Ooh. You can locate the activity instructions below or on our website at mohai.org/education. You can also explore Seattle cycling history with our online collection at mohai.org/collections. Thanks for watching.